Well, viewers, welcome back. We have our first guest with us this afternoon. He's the chairman of the interim council of the new Kalgoorlie College, or the new formation of the Kalgoorlie College. We'd like to welcome Mr. Daws. Doug, welcome to Woman's World this
Maxine.
afternoon. Doug, you've got some good news for us this afternoon, I believe, on the Kalgoorlie College. Perhaps you could explain to viewers what's been happening, because last year we had WasMAIF, this year we've got Kalgoorlie College.
Yes, Maxine, WasMAIF is finished. WasMAIF was an attempt by the government to amalgamate the operations of the School of Mines in Kalgoorlie with the Technical College, which it runs under the Eastern Goldfields Technical College banner. Now, unfortunately, due to all sorts of things, including pressure from the staff and from some of the students, from the School of Mines in particular, WasMAIF was not able to get going. And so the government retreated, reappraised the situation, and in fact called for further information, which was provided to them by an expanded interim council. And the new Minister for Education, Mr. Clarko, came up with a very sensible alternative, and that was to re-establish the Eastern Goldfields Technical College separate from the Education Department as Kalgoorlie College, established under the Colleges Act, and the Kalgoorlie School of Mines is going to remain as part of WAIT, and will specialise in mining and mining-related subjects.
Right, thanks, Doug. Does it mean now that we've got the Kalgoorlie College that it'll still be available for everybody, from the hobbyists to the trades to the people that are studying different subjects? Will it still operate basically the same way, or is it going to be an exclusive college?
Well, there will be some exclusive features to it, of course, but if I had to put some words to it in simple terms, in 1983 and possibly even 1984, it will be business as usual. In other words, the courses which are currently obtainable at the Eastern Goldfields Technical College, whether they be in trades or hobby classes or in ceramics, they will still be available in 1983, essentially identical to what they're obtainable now. Now, your viewers might well ask, well, why make the change? Well, the reasons are fairly simple. The government are looking at means of rationalising the educational expenditure throughout the state. They are looking at ways of expanding educational opportunities to people in regions like the Eastern Goldfields. They're looking at ways of making these colleges more responsive to the needs of the community in which they exist. And so under the Colleges Act, Kalgoorlie College will be engaging its own staff. It will be ultimately introducing its own additional courses. That's additional to the ones which will be available in 1983 and are available now in 1982. We'll be introducing more courses for the community in particular, and we will be just so much more responsive to what people need. Let me give you an instance. If we were in the advertising business, we would be talking about introducing some courses such as enthusers. Now, one of the things I'd like to see introduced, perhaps for the travellers that are going overseas, are short introductory courses to the places that people visit. For instance, Bali. There's a lot of people from Kalgoorlie and Campbell and Coolgardie go to Bali. Well, I plan to have a course which will run for a couple of nights where intending travellers can come in, learn some of the ethnic background, the geographical background, some of the history of Bali. So instead of just dealing with the shopping centres and their travel arrangements, they can go to Bali and with a much fuller background, and therefore end up with a much more enjoyable holiday. Now, that's an enthuser designed to get people to come to the college and see what we're about. But additionally, we'll be expanding some of the trades courses. One of the areas what we think is lacking in this area, for instance, is in refrigeration. Now, it's probable that we can't justify a lecturer just in refrigeration because of the relatively small number of apprentices we might attract, but if we can cooperate with some of the other colleges, either in the metropolitan area or perhaps colleges out of the Pilbara, we will be able to put on a refrigeration trades course, which will not only be the benefit of those people that are learning the trade, but the benefit of the people that live here that want to get their appliances repaired.
So we'll be keeping up with future technology and everything.
Yes, very much. And in fact, we plan to divide the operations of the college into 3 schools of study, and one of them is called Trades and Technology. Now, this is a little bit different to the Technical College where they have a trades area. We've expanded it to include technology, which of course will include the science subjects, but will also include the most up-to-date computer techniques, not just in design but in usage. And so we're expanding into the 1980s and beyond for this community with technology and science.
Great. Doug, you mentioned earlier that you'll be employing your own staff. Does that mean that we'll be getting new staff, or will some of the existing technical staff be re-employed to the Kalgoorlie?
Well, the answer to both those questions is yes. First of all those staff that are currently employed at the Eastern Goldfields Technical College have been made offers by the Minister for Education to transfer or second for 1983 and beyond to Kalgoorlie College. Now, I hope, and the members of the Interim Council hope, that most of those staff, if not all of them, see their way clear to come across and work with us at Kalgoorlie College on this exciting new concept. If they don't, we will advertise those positions. It's true to say that a number of the staff, over half of the staff, have already indicated a fairly clear intention to come across and work for Kalgoorlie College. Now, there will be additional staff required for courses which are not conducted at the moment, and they too will be advertised. So there's going to be a double opportunity for people in the educational field. First of all, for the existing staff to apply for promotional opportunities beyond that which they currently enjoy, and there'll be opportunities for new people to come in and work in an educational sphere that perhaps they haven't done before.
Yeah, that sounds great. Doug, what is the actual role of the Interim Council then?
Well, the Interim Council is a strange name. It's a council of 7 which is set up under the Colleges Act specifically to guide and direct the development of a new college. Now, Kalgoorlie, Boulder and its surrounding towns is rather lucky that we have had for many years the services of the Eastern Goldfields Technical College working under the Technical Education Division. And so our role is a little bit easier than has been in other areas like, say, the Pilbara, where the Interim Council has had to start off from scratch. They had no buildings, no staff and no students. We're lucky on all those counts. We have staff, students and buildings, and we're building more. And so the Interim Council is responsible to the Minister, that is the government, and we have to try and tie together all the loose ends to transfer the existing operation of the Technical College to the operation of Kalgoorlie College in all its aspects, staff and with the students and with the buildings, and the continuing relationship, of course, to other government departments like the Public Works Department, the Waite Council, the School of Mines and so on.
Right, that sounds like you've got quite an important task ahead of you. Doug, buildings. Now that's an important feature because the trades buildings in Wilson Street are really run down. And I believe that there's new buildings going up.
Well, there's no argument about the condition of the existing buildings at what we call the Wilson Street campus of the Technical College, Maxine. Those buildings are ex-Air Force buildings, and clearly they are the worst trade training facility of any institution in the state. That goes without saying. I think most people in the goldfields are pretty aware of just how bad they are. Now, we have already built a lot of buildings. People would have travelled near the Olympic swimming pool have seen the Cassidy Street complex, where we have already spent several $1 million on a new administration building, on the Commerce building, which is a nice 2-storey building, and of course the new Library Resource Centre. That Library Resource Centre alone cost $1.5 million to build, and ultimately will have something like 40,000 technical books in it. Those buildings are already complete. The building that we're about to embark upon, going to tender in October and with building construction commencing in January, is the Trades Training Complex, down adjacent to the old CBC centre, which has, as
That's
your
where
viewers,
the art centre is today.
Yes, your viewers would know that as the art centre now. We're going to spend over 3 years in the region of $5.5 million on a new trade complex, which will be as good or better than any other trade training complex in the state. The reason we're doing that is that clearly the trade training people here have suffered for far too long with far too little. That's the first reason. The second reason is that some of the technology that's required for the mining industry in particular, and the other support industries of the Eastern Goldfields, is becoming pretty sophisticated, and that trade complex will have some of the best training equipment which is as up to date as anything in the state.
Sounds it really has an exciting future with buildings then, hasn't it?
Well, it is, and the buildings, as your viewers have perhaps noticed, all have a common theme of orange roofs and brickwork which is made locally and matches into the general surroundings. It's a complex which I believe the community can be justifiably proud. It will replace the vacant land that's been there for far too long.
Real eyesore.
And as somebody that's been involved with these deliberations now for several years, Maxine, I would be extremely pleased to see those buildings completed, to see the students in there and training, to see us beyond this period where the staff are still feeling perhaps a little bit edgy about the change. People are generally fearful of change, and we can get down just to the general normal running of Kalgoorlie College. Now, in that respect, I'm pleased to say that we have called applications Australia-wide and haven't had a response from every state in Australia to date for the position of director. It's an exciting and a challenging position to run something that is as large as Kalgoorlie College will be, with new buildings, with a whole new approach, which will be able to respond to the needs of the community. And following the appointment of that director, I hope soon, we will see even greater impetus put forward to our programs for 1983.
That sounds great. Doug, how many people or how many students are enrolled in the technical college? How many people are you catering for?
Well, we're talking in thousands if we count everybody that
part-timers
comes
as well
along and
as
does part-timers and hobby courses, as well as our traditional trade apprentices and commerce students and the people that study design, fashion, fabrics and so on. But in the educational field, we try and relate these back down to effective full-time students, so that we have a basis for our funding to go back equivalent to all the other colleges in Australia to the Commonwealth Government for funding. Now, we are still working on the total figures for this, but it will number several hundred effective full-time students. So it's a very large college by most standards.
It certainly reaches out and touches every family in some way or other, whether it be trades or hobby, mum going to learn cake decorating or dad going to do hobby woodwork, or the children doing some kind of a commercial study or something. It really is one education facility that affects everyone, doesn't it?
Yes, and I hope it'll affect them even more in the future. There's not many families in the goldfields. You've correctly identified the fact that they're associated somewhere, whether the dad's done the trade training himself, whether mum's done a commercial subject, or whether it's the children going through now. In the future, we're going to introduce new programs of study, hobby courses, these enthusiasts that I speak of, to get the whole family involved so that they can get in there and use this very, very valuable facility which the government are providing.
It really is exciting, Doug, and I'm sure you really love being there as chairman to see something really developing along at last, a final stage where we're actually seeing something after all the messes that have happened and everything. Well,
that's too true, Maxine. It's been a long battle. It's been an area of tremendous interest, though, by local government, by the support that the community gave to us over the last 4 or 5 years, when it looked like we might lose institutions such as the School of Mines from Kalgoorlie. That's all in the past. The ball is at our feet now. We as a community now must get behind the government's decision, the Kalgoorlie College. There certainly is no real deep-centred resentment anymore from the staff. It looks like it's all go. It's a green light, and we're looking forward to 1983.
Right, that's really great, and thanks very much for coming in and talking to our viewers on the Kalgoorlie College, and we certainly hope that it all goes well for everybody there in the future. Starts on January the 1st, 1983.
January the 1st, 1983. Of course, the college doesn't actually have students then, but that's the official changeover. It's my pleasure to come in, Maxine, and talk to your viewers.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you, viewers.
J&B presents Dreamin', 18 all-time greats from Bill and Boyd. Bill and Boyd at their very best. Without You, Elusive Butterfly, World Without Love, and Who Can Forget?
Put another log on the fire.
Dreamin', a classic album from Bill and Boyd, out now on J&B.
Have you copped this bloke on the telly? Interrupting me favourite show with a tinny arranged on his belly. Reminds me of someone I know. Not that I'm against physical fitness, don't get me wrong on that score. I could watch all them fit blokes forever, but me thumb's inclined to get sore. And I'm not against watching the telly. Cripes, if that was to go on the blink, a bloke could have no sporting interests, and certainly makes a bloke think. Now, it's true I might wheeze when I'm walking. Not that I've done much of late. And it's true I've put a few stone on, but at my age you always gain weight. So what if I can't tie me shoelace? So what if I can't see me toes? I remember what most of them look like, so there's really no need to see those. So when this bloke says, life be in it, he says on TV, I give him a nod and change channels, because I know he's not talking to me.